Welcome back to the Give and Go. I'm your co-host Reynoso, here with my boy
Soltero. What's up, guys?
Today's a big day.
Big day.
Today is a big day in the Give and Go podcast realm because we are reaching the end. We are reaching the light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to Soltero wearing the Argentina jersey. Today is shoot number 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
The payment has been halfway fulfilled. And
like I owe like a god something.
Yes. Yeah. All we're missing is your blood, brother.
Yeah.
Shoot number 10, bro.
Shoot
Finally
number 10.
here with the Argentina jersey.
Yeah.
How the hell do you feel?
I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is just it's been a ride. The end of an era, but it almost just seems natural right now. I can't not see myself in 2023 without an Argentina jersey on this podcast, man. So I wonder how I'm going to show up next week. Am I going to bring it? What am I going to do, man?
Yeah.
Am I going to be like a lost puppy, like not knowing what to do without something that I'm always attached to?
Absolutely.
That's going to be really interesting. But no, I think I got some new jerseys to show off and maybe some old ones to bring back too. Some fan favorites. So I'm excited to bring something fresh to the podcast, not just takes, but obviously with the apparel.
Yeah, I know. A quick shout out to Umbro, who's been sending us out some amazing jerseys. I'm wearing the first one that I got right now.
Yes, sir.
Nacional, a beautiful jersey, man. Thank you, Umbro. We'll be debuting a lot of jerseys here on the pod in the future, especially now that you don't have to wear that jersey. But real quickly, man, I look back, like I think it was just a couple days ago, man. I went back and I saw the highlights of the World Cup final.
Yeah.
Dude.
Oh, dude.
Bruh, man.
I think almost on the dot 3 months ago
Yeah.
was the World Cup final, France against Argentina. I was thinking about it too, and I didn't watch the highlights, but I was just thinking about it because I got approached by a fan just out in the wild, and we talked a little bit about the World Cup, about the new format that's coming up, and we'll talk about that too.
Yep.
But it just reminded me of the game itself, Argentina against France, and my opinion hasn't changed. The first 70 to 80 minutes of Argentina's performance in that final was some of the best football I've ever seen on the international stage.
Di Maria, man.
Yeah.
What a player. To do what he did in that game, I thought was ridiculous. And the build-up play, especially I think it was on that second goal, beautiful. Might be one of the most beautiful World Cup final goals that I've seen, with how they were able to just pass that ball along themselves. And McAllister finally threading that ball through the needle over the Di Maria, finishing it over Lloris to go up 2-0 by halftime. It was an incredible start. But even when I was watching the highlights, man, it's so hard to like remove myself from the emotions I felt watching that game. Even though it was just a highlight reel, I immediately just got sent back to December 2022 and was just caught up in the emotions once again. For a minute there, I felt like France was going to win. Like watching the highlights.
Right.
I was like, shit, did they end up winning this match, bro? Because my emotions got so caught up in it, and Mbappe was going the fuck off. And it was just crazy, man. I even went back and I saw, like, I didn't realize that Speed had live streamed his entire viewing experience at the World Cup final that day.
Really?
So he has like a 4-hour live stream on YouTube where people time-stamped every single goal, and you get to see Speed as well as like other people's reactions in the crowd to what was happening. And I don't know, man, just all this content accumulating itself, and me just receiving it once again just washed me over with such an overwhelming feeling of sadness. Because I still cannot overcome just the rush that game put me through.
Yeah.
And if anything, I feel that now, 3 months later, I might finally be seeing some sort of momentum now in club football and what's happening right now in world football overall. But still, man, one of the greatest games to have ever been played, if not the greatest. And I'm always going to look back on that game and be like, holy shit, man, what an experience it was watching that.
Honestly, that whole tournament has led for me to like a 2-month hangover. You know, to where it took me 2 to 3 months, these last couple months, to actually slowly get back into club football, because, you know, not just us, but the players, the staff, all the fans worldwide put in so much of themselves into that tournament. And then capping it off with a final like that, I mean, you already put it so perfectly, but it was just draining, but very emotionally draining. Yeah. And to come off of something like that, bro, I've needed like 3 months.
I might need a
3
few
months.
more.
I might need a few more, bro. I was thinking the other day, I was like, what if I just took like the next 6 months off of watching soccer? And I was like, just for fun, I was like, it would probably help me a little bit.
Yeah.
Just like get my health back a little bit, man. but we're here, we're back. And like you said, I'm kind of gaining my strength back too, as far as like club football is concerned.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I went back and saw the highlights, because it's finally the first international break since the World Cup 3 months later. And so it kind of is aligned with my emotions and kind of what happened in that tournament. Like, it's time to start getting the wheels rolling a little bit and looking towards the future, looking towards 2026 and the World Cup that awaits us here in the U.S., which the more I think about, bro, the more potential there is to maybe match up to the incredible energy that we saw in 2022, because, bro, we're going to be able to experience our first World Cup here, man.
I know. I'm
as
so
well
excited.
as a lot of our viewers, we're actually going to be able to go to World Cup games and not even have to fly, man.
Yeah.
Just in our backyards, wherever we're living, people in California, people in Seattle, New York, wherever it might be, you'll most likely be able to go catch a World Cup game a few hours away from where you're living. And for us, that's going to be so special, man.
That's everything.
So the way I'm thinking about 2026 is already as a very monumentous event that awaits us. And so that kind of got me a little hyped for like, okay, let's get the ball rolling. Let's start seeing how these teams are shaping up going into the new tournament, which has been confirmed to be expanded to, I believe, 48 teams total.
48 goddamn teams, bro. What's your initial thoughts on that? Because obviously I think the clear ones are, the competition is going to be diluted because you're adding 50% of the original 32 to this new format. So now you have 48 teams. But they also just announced that the actual format of it, because there was talks. There was talks of maybe having groups of 3. But I remember during this past World Cup, so many people were saying the last match day in a 4-team group is just pure drama. How can you erase something like that, which would happen if you went to a 3-team group? Because you can only have one game going on at a time within a 3-team group. So there'd always be one team just kind of watching the others play, which definitely lessens like the impact or the drama of like a last match day for sure. But FIFA just announced that for this next World Cup, 4-team groups. So now there's going to be 12 groups, bro.
Yeah.
12 goddamn groups. I think the number of games went from like 64 to like now like 108, 100, something like that. So 40 more fucking games. How the fuck am I going to do it, bro?
Dude, we were already pushing it this last time around.
We pushed it this last time around, man. I watched every single second of this last tournament. I can't do 40 extra games. I can't.
Yeah.
I just realistically can't.
Especially if it's in a place where the time zone is a little harsh. Like if they do the 2030 one, if they do it in Morocco or some shit, man, we're going to have to be putting in some fucking work, man.
Jesus
100 games, over 100 games to consume throughout the whole tournament. In theory, that's awesome because that's more football to watch.
Theoretically,
my goodness, man, the toll it's gonna take on the average viewer is gonna be incredible. My thoughts on there are pretty. I feel like they're kind of balanced because I on one side I am gonna miss the old 32 team format. I think the biggest debate and argument that people had for it was that it didn't need changing. There's nothing about this that needed to be changed, and if anything, this past tournament proved it. Like, yes, there's little flaws. Like maybe that third game might not matter as much for some teams in the group stage, but truly that's kind of it, man. The drama that we saw, the excitement that we saw, the way that players went about approaching the tournament, 7 games total being played for a ultimate champion, just everything about it to me is so fitting and so perfect for a World Cup international stage. So why change any of that, man? Yeah. Right? But on the other side, I tend to think that when tournaments change their format, it really isn't that detrimental to the entertainment value that you get. What tournament has truly shifted its way from what it once was and still not been a fun tournament to watch? Because we see it all the time now with Liga MX, for example, switching up their traditional 8-team Liguilla playoff to a whole new type of approach. And even then, I might not be as fond of the new approach that exists right now, but I'll still watch it because it's still very entertaining. And it's still a very fun way of deciding who is the best team in the league. So for me, it's going to suck to leave that tradition behind, but it sounds fun. It sounds fun, and I'll get on board with it ultimately. 48 teams means that more teams will be participating in the tournament, so we might see some more sleepers, some more underdogs potentially playing a bigger role. And it'll be different. It'll take some time to adjust to, but ultimately, I don't think I mind it.
Yeah, honestly, I'm in the same boat. When it first got announced, like, I don't know, 10 years ago when FIFA was talking about expanding, I immediately hated it. I really did. I was definitely part of that team that was completely against it. But as I've kind of just grown more experienced, grown older, I've recognized the same thing. When tournaments change, the overall entertainment value rarely takes a major hit. Yeah. I completely agree with your stance, bro. Like, I actually, like, I really, really do, bro. So yeah, I'm excited for the 48 team format. I'm just curious to see, like, what is going to be that major change that we're like, oh, this wouldn't have happened in a 32 team format?
Yeah, I wonder.
And is it going to be a pro or con? Because you take the Liga MX example, I actually would say the addition of the 4 extra teams, in my opinion, is a con. I don't think Liga MX has that much talent in the bottom half of the table to be able to vie for a title. And so I do think that first stage is kind of boring per se. But then after that, back to regular Liga MX, and the entertainment's just through the roof. So overall, there's really no hit. But you can point out a little con in the format, for example. So I wonder if there's going to be anything like that for this 40-team format. I will say just an immediate plus, without even seeing any sort of performance or any sort of like play out on the pitch, is there's going to be an extra knockout round. Yeah. So that's fun already, because you're going to see teams who A, have either never been to a World Cup, or B, like barely got in because of the new expansion, possibly and probably playing a knockout game in coming World Cups. That's huge, bro. Yeah, that's huge. So it'll be really cool to see. And then obviously that just means the possibility of more upsets.
Yeah, which was crazy because this past one was already insane with the upsets.
Right.
But I think the only grievance I have, the only annoyance is, honestly, it comes from almost like a statistical perspective. I love how historic the past World Cup format was, where like for the past 20, 30 years, you look at any World Cup tournament and you knew that they followed the 32 team format. 2 teams out of every group came out into a round of 16. Then there's a quarterfinal, el quinto partido. Now the saying el quinto partido has a whole different meaning, because I believe if you're on track to become a title winner, you have to play 8 games total in the World Cup instead of 7. Yeah. So that whole like tradition and whole history around that changes completely. But on the other side, the FIFA World Cup had a different format, like in the 60s and 70s.
I know, dude.
It was completely different. Yeah. It wasn't always this. So there was a time where they decided to change it completely, and it ended up becoming something super incredible. So hopefully this can continue being something super entertaining and super worth watching, because it's the World Cup, bro. And I really don't want to mess it up. And at the end of the day, I do think I trust the people in charge, because if it generates more money for them, then they'll make sure that it's super fucking entertaining at the very least.
Yeah, that's so true, though, because yes, there's an extra knockout game, but that also means that there will be some third place position teams going out on the next round, and there will be others who don't. Yeah. So at that point, it really does come down to, do you have an easy group or not? And it was like that before, but now the meaning's a little bit different now. Because if you have an easy group, then just finish in third place, get a decent goal differential, and you're through. You don't even have to even come close to beating the best team in your group. Whereas like in the 32 team format, if you could get a draw against the best team in the group, then you're in a really good spot. Now you probably don't need to do that anymore. So that'll be interesting to see, just the statistical shifts of just various scenarios that at one point meant something, but now will be a little different. Yeah. So you're saying how obviously as citizens of the United States, we're going to have the World Cup in our backyard. And I was thinking about it this week, man. For the first time in my life, I'm all in as a Mexico supporter.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What the hell? What the fuck happened?
For the next 3.5 years, for this upcoming World Cup cycle, and in the World Cup itself,
okay,
I will never root against Mexico. And I've never done that.
Why? What the hell is that about?
Because I saw my vision fulfilled with this last cycle.
Essentially what you wanted to happen happened.
Exactly. And I wanted this to happen since like 2019. Because in the last cycle, I really wanted Mexico to fail. And overall, I'd say they did. They weren't in a crazy tough group. So the path for them to get through to the knockout stage was definitely there. But I didn't see it happening. And I know a lot of people hated that idea, and honestly kind of joined me too, because they saw just the dire situation that Mexico was in. And I understand all of that. But for it to actually happen, I was like, okay, this is what I wanted, and I got it. So now I want nothing but growth, because at the end of the day, anytime I do hate on a team, it's not because I just hate them. There are specific footballing reasons. And in this case, it was just the idea that I saw no growth with Mexico, either out on the pitch or in the coaching booths. And for me, that really pissed me off because of the culture that Mexico has as a footballing powerhouse in the Americas. So I was like, where is that desire to win? Where is that aggression that Argentina was showing, you know? Because at the end of the day, Mexican players are workers. And beyond that, they can couple it with really good skill. But I wasn't seeing any of that, man, for like a good 2 years in the build-up to the World Cup. So I was fed up. I was pissed off. So I wanted failure, and I got it. But now I want growth, because as a Mexican and as a Mexican fan and as a follower of football, has seen what has happened to the Mexican media after this debacle in the 2022 World Cup. Now it's time for some growth, bro. Now it's time to see some positivity, because now the Mexican national team can respond. There's something to actually respond to, because in the build-up to the World Cup, they kind of just were responding to criticism. And that can be a little bit intangible, because you could just get like an ESPN commentator just going off on the Mexican national team without any maybe tangible statistics. But now, with an actual failure, the Mexican national team looks at it and like, oh, we fucked up. Let's fix this. And they're elected to go with Diego Coca to be that problem solver. And if he's able to pull this off, he has my full support, but that'll be absolutely incredible. But all I'm saying is the Mexican national team has my full support, brother. I want positivity now. I want growth. And yeah, for the first time in my life, I actually will be only rooting for Mexico every time they play.
Yeah, what an interesting time to root for them, though. I mean, we already qualified for the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it'll be a really long process that's going to be drawn out, and that'll ultimately you won't see the true fruition of until probably the Copa America that happens a couple years from now.
Yeah.
It's going to be a while, man. It's going to be a drawn out process, but yeah, you can start focusing in on the specifics of the team right now. Like, for example, does Santi Jimenez finally get that starting nod and that responsibility as the striker for Mexico going forward? What does he do? What does Diego Coca do with all the young talent on the team? What veterans does he call up to kind of help support the youth of the squad as well? A lot of interesting decisions that have to be made for Diego Coca that'll be interesting to follow along with. But yeah, I'm happy to have you on board, man. Happy to have you here. It'll be fun, man. It truly will be fun, because I agree with you in the sense that, yes, this is a new era, a different type of aura that this Mexican team has in comparison to what we've had our whole life, man. Because at the very least, when we would struggle, we'd find a way to bounce back immediately. And we'd always have like a standard, like a threshold of greatness. We would always be good enough to be top of CONCACAF no matter what. Good enough to make it to the round of 16 in the World Cup.
Yes.
But now we didn't do either of those in the past 4 years. So how the hell does a country that hasn't done that in nearly 30 years respond to it? Be interesting to see, man. This is going to be a fascinating story in CONCACAF.
Absolutely.
And then you also throw in just kind of how Liga MX is sort of trying to revamp themselves as well, implementing new rules, new systems to try to help create a better Mexican player overall. This will be a very fun process, but ultimately, man, yeah, good to have you, man. Good to have you. And let's see where the hell this journey leads us to, man, because imagine all this optimism going to shit, man.
Yeah.
Imagine us getting worse in 4 years.
That's the thing. There's the
that
possibility.
Would be even worse than what we just went through, I think.
Yeah, because when you think about transitions with footballing nations, they could last like 2 to 4 years, or they could last like 10 to 15 years, bro. And what if Mexico is in that long category where it just takes them a long time to get back to what they once were? That's true.
That could happen.
It could happen.
Football's crazy, man. We could be battling it out against like Honduras for like that fourth spot and CONCACAF qualifying in 2030 or some bullshit, man.
Right.
Like, that could actually happen.
Yeah, and the USA and Canada just dominating the region.
Running it, man. Running it. And El Salvador is fucking on top as well or some bullshit.
Right.
God damn, man. Where does that put your stance on the USA then these next 4 years?
Yeah, so as you were explaining the situation that Mexico's in right now, the state of Mexican football, I realized the main reason why I'm now behind Mexico can be summarized as this. I see Mexico as an underdog team now. And my whole view on football, from international to very small club level, is I almost always root for the underdog. But I'll never just blindly root for an underdog. Like I have to see some sort of quality that shows me that, oh, they can actually compete with the top dog in either their division, their league, etc. And so I see Mexico as exactly that. I don't think they're the best in the region anymore. And I do think that is a concrete statement in my eyes. I see the USA and Canada as the two best teams in CONCACAF. And I know Canada had a weird World Cup. We've already kind of talked about that before. And the USA had maybe a slightly underwhelming performance in the World Cup, but I thought they were still really, really good. I still see them as the two best teams in CONCACAF, with Mexico right there in third place, if you will. And so for me, for my entire life, kind of as you put it, I've always seen Mexico as the best. That's why when they would play against the USA or Costa Rica, I would go for the USA or Costa Rica because I knew that they could get Mexico, but that it was always going to be a tough task. Now I actually kind of see it reversed, maybe not with Costa Rica, but with, for example, the USA. If there's another Clásico, USA-Mexico, I think the bookies are going to have the USA as having that advantage, especially if it's played in the United States, even though, there's always a lot of Mexican fanfare going on at a lot of these stadiums. But beyond that, just pure football, I see Mexico as an underdog team that has the potential to have a really big rise over the next 4 years. That's why I'm really behind this team. And that's why I hope they can pull it off, man. There's a lot of talent out there. It's not like Mexico's situation is where they're just hoping on like one star player, because realistically, we're not. There's a lot of talent in the midfield, up front, in the back. Diego Coca has proven himself to be a really good coach in Liga MX. And all the tools are there for Mexico to succeed. Now they just got to put it together. I really do think that. Get a couple more players to Europe, use the European talent that's already there, and I think Mexico can get right back in that conversation of consistently beating Canada and the USA. But right now, I do see them as like a third best team in CONCACAF, right behind USA and Canada. There was a statement from Berhalter like a couple weeks ago. He was like, there's a lot of drama at the World Cup in our USA camp. It was the Reynas. It was just so direct. Like, Jesus Christ, bro. This is just getting from bad to worse, man.
I can't believe this shit, man. I'd be so frustrated if I was a USA fan. It's the most dumb shit.
It's stupid.
Dude. It's stupid. This is little league stuff, man. This is what happened for us growing up, man.
Yeah.
Like playing little league football, select team football, whatever it was. Like, this is what it would happen on the sidelines between parents. But on the national stage, man, why can't we get past this? Why can't the USA just move on and figure it out, man? Personally, I don't think Berhalter's the guy. I don't think he's the guy anymore. I think this whole thing, whether if it's
get him out,
whether the blame is to place on Reynoso or whoever, the fact this happened with him here, just kind of being a part of it, just get him out, man. Move on, find someone else. I'm sure the U.S. can find one other person that is up for the challenge and that could continue developing these players in preparation for the massive World Cup in 4 years. There's got to be someone else, man. I don't know who, but there's got to be someone else.
I think the latest rumor I heard was that Theirry Henry was trying to actually like put in his application. Like he's eager to be the coach for the USA. As a fan, I kind of like it. I kind of don't, just because his resume is not really there. He was in charge of, I think, Montreal or Vancouver, one of the two Canadian MLS teams, but he was only in charge of them for like maybe like half a year, maybe 1 full year. That was about it. Yeah. Then COVID hit and he was just like, I'm just going to quit. Yeah. And then after that,
Belgium.
He just had assistant jobs, right? So he's been active, but I have not seen that immediate success as a head coach. You know what I mean?
To get the U.S. job,
right? And
crazy.
And since we're hosts too, it's like I would rather have a more established manager. I just would. But Henry, I mean, he's got that offensive mind clearly, and obviously he's just maybe a little bit younger than most coaches, so maybe he could like tune in to that youth that the USA have, because we have such a young team, bro. So I could see that being a definite pro if that were to happen. But I think overall, I'd still rather have a more established, older manager.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. I love Theirry Henry.
Yeah, great guy.
As a player, incredible. As an analyst, he's even better. But just purely going, because I really don't have much to go off of when it comes to Theirry Henry tactically, because like you said, not enough experience. But going off of what I've seen from him and CBS's halftime show,
Dude, I know.
I don't know if he's got what it takes to manage a squad. It's very obvious. He's a genius offensively. He gets the nuances of an offensive player like no other. Sometimes when he goes and dissects every single player and like what they do offensively, it's incredible. It's a fucking work of art hearing him just talk about the game and the offensive side of it. But what about everything else, man? Like, I don't know how he is with managing egos, how he is with like implementing a really solid midfield and backline. And even if he has assistants, at the end of the day, he has to make that call. Does he have enough, I guess, ball knowledge to be able to dictate an entire national team, one that is going to be hosting the 2026 World Cup and is going to most certainly have the spotlight on them for the next 4 fucking years? Yeah. I think the job might be a little too big for him right now.
I think so. And you just reminded me, I think he actually had a failed stint at Monaco too.
Oh,
he was the head coach because they were, kind of in the shit, and they got Henri because he had affiliation with the club, obviously as a player, and they brought him in, but for like 10, maybe 12, maybe even less games, they sacked him because he just could not get any consistent results. And I think it goes to your point. Sure, his offensive mind is that of a genius, but can he build a midfield? Does he know when there are defensive mistakes, and can he coach them to correct that? I don't know. There's no proof of it, and the proof that is there isn't that positive. Yeah. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm completely with you.
But it's also interesting coaches' resumes and how they play into the world of hiring because. Did you see who Spain hired as their coach to replace Luis Enrique?
Isn't it just like the youth Spanish coach?
Yes. His name's, I know his last name's De La Fuente. Yeah. He coached Alaves in 2011. Then from there, nothing but Spain U15, then U17, U19, U21.
That long?
Until finally he got the job for Spain's international gig. But a lot of the headlines that I was reading was that he just doesn't have a resume at the end of the day. Even if it is within the Spanish National Academy, people want more. They want to see him actually prove himself on a different stage. And given that Spain is under so much heat now with the way they performed in that World Cup, I don't know if he's the answer, man. But it's an example of a player or a coach not really having the resume, but still being selected to guide a national team into the World Cup.
Yeah, that is really interesting. Yeah. But it kind of makes sense because the Spaniards love to play a very specific way, and if there's not a hot Spanish manager, I don't really see them going foreign. I really don't.
Oh yeah, for sure. They're not going foreign.
They're not going foreign, so it's like they kind of.
There's no one else. Bro?
I guess not, bro. I guess not. Which kind of makes sense because the state of La Liga is not looking so hot right now. Okay. So maybe it correlates with that. I could see it. So they're like, fuck. De La Fuente, man, you wanna top job?
I'm thinking about who if I was a Spanish fan, who would I want? Pep would be great.
Oh yeah, Pep would be fucking everything.
Xavi's busy. Is Iniesta interested at all, man? Is Iniesta could he interested in a managerial career?
I think he would need to probably coach in Europe first before they would entertain that.
Lopetegui is over in the Premier League right now, and he's doing somewhat well.
But Lopetegui had a falling out. I was about to say,
they already tried.
They already tried him. Other than that, like you could go a little further down, like Setien, who's coached Betis, and I think coaching Villarreal right now. Yeah. He's had a lot of success in mid-table Spain. That's about it. He's never been able to crack into that top 4 realistically. And then like the coach of Sociedad always changes like every 2 years, so there's never been one manager who's been like the guy to give Sociedad success. So it's like, other than like Pep.
That's funny. The coaches that they would probably want are just kind of busy. Xavi, too busy with Barcelona right now. Pep with Man City. Arteta, too busy winning a fucking Premier League. Yeah. But I wonder if he was like maybe in 6th or 7th place with Arsenal right now, if he would be called up for the national gig instead.
Arteta's, I feel like, so British now that he's never going back to Spain. You know what I mean? He's been there too long.
Yeah, dude, he's been so long, bro.
He's been there too long. He's never going back. This actually reminded me of a really good signing that just happened in the international coaching world.
Ecuador?
Yes. Felix Sanchez, the coach of Qatar, just got signed by Ecuador.
You got that upgrade, bro.
That's huge, man. Huge, man. And the thing is, he was the reason why Qatar was able to band together and be somewhat competitive. You know what I mean? He got that, and obviously they had a really rough World Cup. But the build-up to it, winning the 2019 Asian Cup, was all because of his project. And obviously the players were able to commit to his idea and execute it out on the pitch. So now Sanchez, who's taken a really kind of low level skill set to be competitive, is now with like a really intriguing, feisty, youthful, and talented Ecuadorian side, bro.
Imagine being him, bro. Like, you worked your ass off hoping for an opportunity like this for a decade with Qatar. And you were under like the headlights over there. Like, he was a big name in Qatar, man, pushing these players up, like you said, to be greater than themselves.
Yeah.
And ultimately they failed, but he was one of the bright spots of that squad. He was one of the reasons that they were actually just able to be competitive. And you get that South American call, man, from none other than Ecuador. One of the most fun squads at the World Cup. So youthful, so dynamic, with some incredible players at your disposal, bro. Yeah. It's got to be so fun, man. It's got to be so fun.
I'm legit just going to watch Ecuadorian games just to see what they can pull off, because honestly, I think the reason why Ecuador didn't get past that group stage was because of the coach. They got very
What's his
deep.
name? I forgot about it.
Gustavo Alfaro.
Alfaro, yeah.
They completely went against their tactics in the first two games and that last game against Senegal, because I think the coach was just like, let's not fuck this up, boys. Let's get defensive here. And it fucked them in the end, which of course it is, because just stick to your style. And I hope Felix Sanchez will be like, look, I'm Ecuadorian now, so let's utilize everything we've got. And I hope he can do that for this team, because if they can be truly unlocked out on that pitch, they can be so deadly, dude.
Yes, man. CONMEBOL qualification going up from 5 spots to, I believe, 7 total now. That chance improves. He's got a shot to be here in 4 years from now. Copa America will probably be his first attempt at some sort of silverware as well. So
that's dope.
Let's see what happens for Felix Sanchez in Ecuador, man. Interested to see it, because at the end of the day, I did think Alfaro was a little dated, a little old, man. You just look at his demeanor.
He pissed me off.
Yeah, I didn't like it, man. I didn't like it. I thought he brought in some old ideas to the game. And when you have players like Moises Caicedo, Gonzalo Plata, even a dude like Ener Valencia, who was going off at the time.
Dude, I know, man.
Preciado, Estupiñán. I mean, the list goes on, man. Ecuador has so many good names. You might need someone a little bit more modern, a little bit more willing to be aggressive. And Felix Sanchez might be that guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other hirings?
Yeah, I think that was like the biggest one that like truly caught my eye. Belgium, they announced their replacement for Roberto Martinez. Right. It's Domenico Tedesco, who just been coaching some good clubs in Germany for like the last like 5-6 years. And now he went to international football now. Interesting transition, because usually international coaches just stay in the international game, and likewise for club. But he's making that transition to go from pure club football and in a really good league too, the Bundesliga, to now coaching a really talented Belgium team who had a really bad World Cup. But I'm curious to see what he can do, because I think, again, kind of like Alfaro with Ecuador, Martinez just lost his way with Belgium. He just lost it, bro.
I hated his team under. I just Martinez himself. Yeah. I'm not convinced by any of his tactics, and I honestly think he's a fraud, man. I think it's a sham.
He might be.
I don't know how the hell he's managed to be at the top of the helm for multiple big clubs, man.
He won the FA Cup. That means a lot nowadays.
Been milking that shit for years, bro. God damn.
Yeah, bro. One other fun one. I don't know if it's honestly a good pick. I'm gonna say it's. I'm not gonna say it's bad. I'm not gonna say it's great. Jurgen Klinsmann back into national team coaching, bro. The ex-USA coach is now going to be coaching South Korea.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I did not hear about that.
Yeah, bro. Klinsmann, bro.
Klinsmann is back.
Klinsy. He's back. And I guess.
Process that.
I guess it's not bad. I just don't think it's great.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
South Korea really emailed him or whatever.
I don't know.
Has he done anything since the U.S. job?
Mm-mm.
Interesting.
Yeah, so his last thing was 2014 World Cup.
Interesting.
I think he's been like maybe like involved with like sporting director stuff, but coaching, nothing.
That's bizarre then. That's really bizarre.
It's really bizarre, yeah.
You got nothing else to add on
I
that?
got nothing. I got nothing.
I'm thinking
I just wanted to put it out there. Like, I don't know if it's a good or bad thing.
I don't know. I felt like South Korea did pretty well too at the World Cup. I didn't think they needed a head coaching replacement.
Yeah.
Why not just keep the man they had in charge? South Korea was impressive at the end of the day.
Yeah, I thought they were really, really good. They just needed to shore up their defense a little bit, and they could pretty much compete against anybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is interesting that like I said, it's not like a promotion or it's not a relegation either. I think it's just a lateral move.
Sure.
But
But
was
bro,
it
like,
necessary?
Yeah, bro, like the language barrier, like there's so many complications that come with getting a foreign coach, especially if you're an Asian country hiring a European coach. It can be challenging at times, but they think Jurgen Klinsmann is worth it at the end of the day.
That's what gets me. That's what I'm saying, is that like it's such an interesting signing because they're like, oh, Klinsmann's gonna be the guy to take us to World Cup glory.
Bro, it's like your homie, it's like your homeboy that doesn't know his worth. And so he's settling for some average girls, man. I'm like, South Korea, you can get someone better.
You
guys deserve someone better.
Yeah.
I'm a little befuddled right now.
Yeah, no, and that's why I'm so happy for Ecuador getting Felix Sanchez, because they're like, oh, we had a good team. We just need a better coach. And they got that. Korea should be thinking the same thing, but they didn't think that way.
Fuck.
Yeah, bro. Not good.
Man, yeah. God damn it, man. All right, well, we'll see. The thing is, we'll see. This is one of those we'll see situations.
We'll see.
He could end up just working out incredibly.
Asian Cups, actually later this year, maybe they'll use that as is he going to stay or go?
Damn, dude, that'd be fun. Who is the favorite going into that then?
Shit. I mean, it's always the same four. It's always Japan, Australia, Korea, and Saudi Arabia / Iran. So I guess the same five.
Yeah.
It's always the same five.
I'm probably going to go Japan on this one, man.
Yeah.
I think I'll go Japan. Oh, I'm definitely going Japan.
I'm going Japan. I'm going Japan.
I'm going Japan on that one.
Japan, like Saudi Arabia final would be dope. If that could happen, that'd be dope.
I don't know if Saudi Arabia bounces back, brother.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They have the same. Well, they are getting a little older. That's the only problem. But I mean, Renard's still the coach.
And I mean, if they can win something with that core, that'd be fucking dope.
A title, just one title,
fucking dope.
Can't be that bad.
Okay, never mind. Yeah, I'll instill some faith into them for sure.
But honestly,
they deserve
though,
that.
After the World Cup, Australia could get up there too.
Yep.
Just through pure grit, bro. They can get anywhere with that.
I'm gonna keep doubting them, man. I didn't learn my lesson. I'm gonna hate on Australia, man, and hopefully I'm wrong about them, bro.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
We'll have to do deep dives on that, man, because the Asian Cup is also gonna be a fun one to keep up with.
Asian Cup's gonna be fun.